Hello. I welcome you back to Moments of Reflection. I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves. And today I want to reflect on the meaning of fear. We find in Scripture that, first of all, we're told that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. But yet, in one aspect, we are also told that fear is not of God. And so in reconciling these two unique scriptures, we have to come to understand, first of all, that when the scriptures speak of fearing God, it speaks of a reverence of his being and a reverence for who and what he is. When we begin to understand that not even the greatest clap of thunder can even convey the voice of God, not even the most violent of earthquake can even begin to come close to the power of God and his omnipotence. And so the first fear is a reverential fear. It is the understanding that you're dealing with a God who is, first of all, omnipresent, omniscient. He's omnipotent. He has all power, all knowledge, and he's uniquely everywhere. And so when we begin to understand the reverence of he who began all things, he spoke it into existence, and through his word all things consist. The scripture says he upholdeth all things by the word of his power. And so when we look at this individual, understanding that we can't even breathe without the rhythm of God's mercy. He extends breath to us. We receive it, but yet we can't hold it. We give it uniquely back to him. And so then that brings us to the next type of fear. The next type of fear is a fear that is the negation of faith. This type of fear is a doubt in the things that should be able to preserve us. Usually when we have fear concerning being harmed or concerning that something will take place, it's usually because we don't have faith in the restraining power. And so when we talk about faith and fear then, as it pertains to the believer, when we are confronted with something and yet we fear, it reveals that there is an instability of our coping mechanism and an instability of our ability to track or to trust in God. We have to track then what emotion is operating through us. And so what occurs as something arises and we don't perceive that God has the power or that God will preserve us or deliver us or keep us from harm, then fear settles in. And so this type of fear is a mental and emotional conglomeration of the consciousness, and it takes place deep down in the subconscious levels where something, some thought, some construction of an ideology brings us to a point where perhaps God is not enough to preserve us. And so what happens, we lose faith in God. We can no longer trust him. And because we can no longer trust him, we set ourselves outside of the boundaries of his power, outside of the boundaries of his provision. Always remember that fear is the antithesis of faith. And where there is fear, it negates faith. Doubt is like tensing the muscles. It stops us in our tracks, and it keeps us from functioning in spiritual truth, spiritual law, and spiritual engagement. And so two types of fear. The first one, again, is the fear of the Lord. It is the reverence for his holiness and his awesomeness. The second type of fear is the fear that sets us outside of the boundaries of God to protect, to bless, and to keep us. I hope you've gotten something out of this brief reflection. I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and this has been Moments of Reflection. Remember, Jesus is Lord, and he's coming back again. God bless you.